Welcome back to the Have Not Room. I'm Ben and joined here as always by Chad and Brian. And we are here to talk about a brand new season of Big Brother. Big Brother 23 cast has dropped and we are ready to talk about it. It's been a minute since we've talked about Big Brother here, but we're ready to go, guys. What do you guys you guys ready to go for another 3 months of Big Brother here?
Hey man, I'm always ready to talk about Big Brother, other than that large gap in which I wasn't on the show last season, in which case I was not ready at that point, but I'm ready now.
Yeah. We are ready with a brand new cast for American Big Brother, at least. And hopefully not another washout.
Yeah. You have 16 brand new faces here. We got our All-Stars all out of the way last season, so
we got that out of our system. It was like we all want it for so long, and then we got it, and we were like, "Oh, actually, no! Please don't ever do that again."
Mm-hmm.
So
there's basically, I think, a 0% chance that there will be anybody outside of the 16. So that's beautiful.
Yes.
So before we get into this cast, though, there has been some info that's dropped about some of the twists that we're kind of expecting to see, at least in the first half of the game here. This is modern BBUS, so we have to have a wild game twisting twist for the first 4 or 5 weeks of the game. Otherwise, these people would just have to play the game of Big Brother, and that's kind of boring, right?
Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm just happy that they listened to me and they're doing the invisible HOH. And they're doing it right, unlike Big Brother Canada. That's right, Ben? That's what they're doing?
Oh, yeah, we're definitely not rehashing a format that's been tried 3 times and has been kind of a flop every time they've tried it.
Thank God. That'd be terrible if we were doing that.
Yeah, definitely not taking a look at what Big Brother Canada did and, noticing, like, the one twist that completely flopped on their season, and we're like, okay, we're going to do that, but even crazier.
Where can I get you some of that?
Enough passive aggressiveness, but we're getting a team twist. This is the 4th season of Big Brother US, where the contestants will be split up into 4 teams. In this case, 4 teams of 4. This is, I think, the 2nd season after BB18 where we get 4 teams of 4. Previously, there have been 4 teams of 3 in BB11 and 14, if you don't include the coaches as players right off the bat.
Right.
This is the first season where we have a team twist, though, on BBUS without returning players in this format. So maybe that'll change and it'll be, like, slightly less bad. But, right off of the bat, I'm not a fan of the team twists. I don't like trying to turn Big Brother into Survivor. But, I don't know. What do you guys think, Chad? What do you think of the team twist right off the bat? We'll get into the details after, but just on a surface level.
No, I mean, I agree. It's just, it makes it too, like you said, it feels like Survivor to me too much. And I imagine, like, it's losing team. You got to pick 2 nominees out of a losing team. So it's kind of just like.
I know.
No?
No,
Yeah.
It just,
so
like,
bad.
It limits noms too much. Like, when you have 15 people to pick from, it's more up in the air. But when it's one team and you only have 4 people to pick from, it's too narrow. It limits the scope of what Big Brother as a game is, and I don't like it. It's too Survivor-y.
Yeah, I agree with Chad. I think nobody really looks back on the big moments from these teams very fondly. There was Glenn getting eliminated on night 1. Not that exciting, not that fun to watch. It's a lot more fun, his story off of the show, we'll say that. And then what was the other, like, big moment I remember from BB18 was like, oh wow, they're going to try to take a shot at Frank, and then it came down to Polly and Frank for HOH, and they're on the same team, so they can't nominate each other anyways. So it's just like, okay, this kind of sucked all the air out of this. So, whatever you can do to not, take away options for your cast, I think you should do. So that's the reason why these twists are bad. It limits gameplay, and part of the appealing thing about Big Brother is that it is supposed to be a pretty wide open game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's get into the specifics of what we know for basically how this will work. We've been told up front that this will only last for 4 weeks, which is good. Okay. 4 weeks is still a lot, but it's not going to last 5, 6, 7 weeks, like some Battle of the Block twist or anything like that have in the past.
Hey, that was a fan favorite twist, Ben.
Yeah, definitely.
He told me.
That's why they did it twice in a row. So, from my understanding, they'll be coming in and they'll have a night 1 competition where the 16 players will compete and 4 people will win the night 1 competition. I believe they're doing this similar to how they did last season, where each move-in group will play like a mini game among the 4 of them, and the winner of that mini game will win the power. And those 4 winners will then become the team captains and pick their teams. Previously, there's been returning players who have been the ones that have been the team captain to pick the teams. So this is kind of the way they're getting around that. And then from a week-to-week perspective, I believe how it works is, as usual, the team who has the HOH on their team is immune for the week. And then I think there's also going to be a secondary team safety comp that the other 3 teams will compete in. And the winning team of those 3 will also then be safe. So there will only be 2 teams of 4 that'll dwindle, of which you'll be able to pick your knobs from. That's how I understand this will work for 4 weeks.
Wow, that is so good. Just great. Great game, making.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this in the preseason of BB Can 9, where there are, looking at our cast assessment tonight, there are certainly going to be players here who will classically be people we would expect to go out in the first few weeks that might end up lasting very deep into the game simply for the fact that they are not able to get nominated for these first few weeks out of, randomness or them being on a strong team. So that is something that we kind of have to keep in mind in terms of some of our analysis, where maybe we might have some non-classic first, second, third, fourth boots here, and some people who you would expect to flame out early being kind of saved by this twist.
I mean, I guess in that way, when you put it that way, you can imagine if BB16 had a twist and we get more Devin, that would have been fun. So maybe something like that will happen, where a house pariah just sticks around and causes drama and good feeds.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
that's what
we did
do to hype it
we
up.
did see this. We did see this kind of play out a little bit in BB Can 9 with Tara ending up getting all the way to 3rd place because she was somebody who you would expect to be an early target, but she was on the dominant team in the first couple of weeks, so she was able to kind of dodge being that first or second boot. So we'll maybe see if something like that plays out here. But Chad, do you have anything to say about this twist before we move into the cast? Now that we've laid it out on the table.
I guess there's good and bad to that. Having the potential of someone who could be an early boot last longer. I guess maybe we get to see an interesting gameplay of someone who's maybe, I don't know, like you said, if someone gets booted early, we never get to see how they play, and they're like, oh, remember that one guy who got booted in whatever season? Imagine if he came back and see how he did. It was like David in All Stars, right? I mean, he didn't win out, but
it was a huge success, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's good and bad. I think it'd be interesting to see non-traditional players go far and see how they play, but I mean, players make it far for a reason, and in normal seasons, so I don't know. I lean towards the negative on this twist, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I am reflexively pessimistic about any twist just from history. Right, there's been very few twists in modern Big Brother that have panned out well. I was pretty complimentary of the VIP pass twist of last season. I thought that was one of the better ones they've done. But so yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. I think that there have been seasons like BB14 who have had these like really bad twists with the teams that turn out to be good seasons, kind of despite it. So I'm not saying that the twist is going to ruin the season or anything like that. But it's not necessarily putting the best taste in my mouth right off the bat.
Yeah, is it messed up that they did this without inviting Jody back? I feel like it is. This could have been her second chance, Ben.
Yeah. Well,
they could have had all the night one
from all the previous teams. So they have Glenn as well, and then they have Cameron. They have who would that be?
That would be David.
Annie.
Annie. Okay.
You're
going way back.
Well, I was trying. Who is the Annie is the first one to be 11, right? Yeah. Is that correct, or is that I don't know.
Ben,
this is something I should know. Yeah, this is something I should know. I can see her face.
Look pretty. I don't know.
I can see her face. I can't tell. I can't remember.
Okay, but yeah, her. She could have come back.
Yeah,
she could have been.
But yeah, that would have been also probably not great. But okay. Well, we're getting a little too deep into the weeds here on a twist that we're completely speculating on. Let's get into this
pretty
cast.
Par for the course for us.
We have 16. We have 16 people with very limited information about them to speculate on instead. So,
and we're gonna pick a winner out of just cast bios.
I believe videos are supposed to come out Monday, is what I've heard.
It doesn't help us today, but it'll be hilarious when we pick people who are just not at all what we think they are from these bios. So I'm kind of into it.
Yep. Let's go. All right, let's start out. Let's just go in alphabetical order on the CBS webpage here. Let's start off with 24-year-old Alyssa Lopez, a swimwear designer from Sarasota, Florida. Alyssa describes herself as witty, sarcastic, and outgoing. Chad, do you have any first thoughts here on Alyssa?
She's one of the girls in this cast that I think has some potential. I mean, she seems like kind of in that sweet spot of she's pretty decently in shape. It says in her bio, she did 10 years of gymnastics or whatever. Says she runs her own business, so she got the smart, she's got the the physical aspect to some degree as well. So who knows? I mean, I think she's kind of in that sweet spot, like I was saying, just because there's there's other people we'll get into too, but she's kind of in the middle to me. So she's someone I could definitely see being a pretty good strategic threat, kind of not like Beth from BB Can 9, but in that realm maybe. But again, there's not too much to go off of outside of we need to see videos first to really see how they act in person. But I like her. I think she'll be middle of the pack, if at least jury.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
I was just gonna say, I think she's gonna be the first example of when I was reading the bios, I was like, oh, she's talking about BB11. She must be a big fan. And then as I read more bios, I was like, oh, so they made them watch BB11 in Sequester. Very nice.
Well, actually, I mean, I agree with that 100%. There were multiple people who brought up the coup d'etat and Jeff and Jordan. But she specifically does also mention that she has religiously watched Big Brother since she was 11 years old, and that the math checks out there to her starting watching during season 11.
Okay.
Which she also says, the first season I ever watched was season 11. So I believe she started watching season 11 and has watched ever since.
All right. That is fair, because the first season I ever watched live was BB14, so it did have a big impact. So I probably wouldn't say Dan's funeral because it'd be cliche, but I could see a lot
of people did it anyways.
Yes, yeah, I know. that they did. But yeah, I think, she's good. She seems young and athletic, which I think will greatly benefit her. She says she wants to bring a DVD of all the seasons of The Office. Does not mention a DVD player or a TV, so not great. right there.
Not a lot of forethought.
Not a lot of forethought, no. It's like the people who, like, they go on Survivor and they're like, I want to bring an iPod. Like, that would be good for a day. And then not good
and
ever.
Then dies.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see with her. I'm not down on her from her bio at all. I think she's definitely someone who, given the right circumstances, given the right luck of the draw on the teams, could go far. And again, we're just reading the bios. We don't know. We could watch the videos on Monday and be like, wow, she is off-putting. And this is wrong. So,
yeah.
No, yeah, I
thumbs
agree.
up for Alyssa right now.
I agree. I have her pretty high on my list right now. I like that she's a fan and like she's watched the show for over a decade. So that's like there are a lot of fans seemingly on this cast.
Yes.
So maybe that's not as much of like a silver bullet as it would on a normal season. But it's still definitely a big thumbs up for me. She's young, pretty. She's probably going to end up in a showmance. And contrary to what other people on this cast have said in their bios, in modern Big Brother, being in a showmance is fantastic if you're not like completely incompetent at Big Brother.
Right.
It's like a really, really good like golden ticket to the jury phase, probably going deep into the game if you're both decent players. So I think that she has that going for her. She seems to have a good head on her shoulders as far as like understanding the game. My two biggest red flags are that she mentioned that she's never left Sarasota, which is not super great, that you've like basically never left where you've grown up by the time you've turned 24. And also there was another red flag that I cannot remember off the top of my head now. That was the big one for me. Was just not having the life experience of having traveled around and met a lot of people from different walks of life. But otherwise, I think I agree she's probably locked in for at least jury. If she gets into a showmance or down into Lions, I think she'll probably go pretty deep. And from there, if she's got a good grasp of the game, you never know.
Yeah, that reminds me. Talking about showmances. Big congratulations to Christmas in Memphis, America's Sweethearts, from last year. They're engaged, apparently. So, the speculation was correct.
Yeah, I mean, we cannot have a Big Brother season without a showmance, right? We thought we would get it with BB22 because most of them were married or in relationships, or they were like, old or not interested in having showmances. But they still found a way, even with both of them being in relationships, coming into the house to leave the house in a showmance.
Love finds a way, Ben. I don't know what to say.
That's true.
For Christmas over here.
But yeah.
Guys, Christ.
But yeah, no, I like Alyssa a lot. I liked the paragraph she wrote for her strategy. I think that she has a lot of upside. And we'll see. I definitely keeping an eye on her heading into the season.
Yeah.
All right. Next up on our list, we have Aza Awasam. We have she is 30 from Baltimore, and she is a director of sales operations. Brian, you have any first thoughts here about Aza?
We have very similar jobs. Just similar. what it's called, I have no idea what her version of it is, but I love that her favorite moment was Keisha's birthday. I think all of us can get behind that.
That would be my choice if I was asked this question.
That bodes really well, I feel like, right? For her, like,
oh yeah,
she must be a fan. I think that's good. She also says that June's her favorite player. I think that's good if she plays like June, obviously. So I think I'm excited to see her play. I want to see her video. I want to like really, get to like know what kind of player she is from that. But from this bio right away, like big thumbs up. Alyssa was a thumbs up. She's a big thumbs up.
Yep. No, I 100% agree. We're definitely starting out strong here. Back to back, Alyssa and Azza, I think, are both very high on my list in terms of potential really solid players heading in. I agree. I do like that. This is probably the first time in years I've seen somebody bring up June and Allison in the cast bio. Yeah, I don't exactly. She says that they dominated the house with loyalty only to each other. That's a little bit of a oversimplification of June and Allison. They kind of didn't like each other and basically worked with each other in the end game out of necessity because they knew that they could only beat each other in the final two, and they still kind of ended up not super liking each other, or not only being loyal to each other out of necessity. However, I do like that she brought them up and clearly has seen BB4 at some point. And she mentions, as you said, BB14, BB10. There's a lot of things that she mentions here that demonstrates that she is a longtime fan of the show. I like that she is a traveler. I like her kind of view of the game in terms of she kind of lives like a kind of a selfless life, but she understands that that's not going to translate into the game, and so she's going to play a very selfish game. The fact that she has so many cousins because her grandfather was a polygamist is interesting, and also kind of means that she has a big family, so she's used to dealing with a situation where she's surrounded by a lot of people at once and needs to make herself be seen. Pretty much the only thing I'm not a big fan of is she is very obviously against getting into a showmance, and like I said, I think getting into a showmance is correct. If you're young and attractive and single and you're going on Big Brother, I think it's just right to get into a showmance. I know fans for the most part hate showmances. I personally don't like watching people just laying in bed all day snuggling and kissing. But from a pure strategic perspective, I want to say 100% it is correct to get into a showmance if you can.
Yeah,
but
she's letting her grandfather down, honestly, by not wanting to be in the showmance.
Her grandfather didn't have 6 showmances for her to have none.
Yeah, let's run the tape on the grandfather for those who didn't read the bio. 6 wives, 47 children, and 300 grandchildren from that. So she has 300 cousins. Whew, those are some big numbers. Those are some Hall of Fame polygamy numbers.
Yeah, those are some Mormon numbers. Yeah.
The geriatric gangster over here. Good for him.
He's the
grandpa.
Yeah. So I mean that. Yeah, I like her a lot. Chad, what do you think about her?
No, I mean, you guys said everything, basically, but I agree. Ben brought up the showmance thing. I think at least have like a flirtmance type of situation where someone wants you around just so they can keep flirting with you or they like you enough. But, no, another strong hitter right off the gate. I think she'll do well. She's high up on my list for now.
Absolutely. And she's 30. I think 30 is like a sweet spot for reality TV where you're still young. I'm not just saying that because I'm careening towards 30 myself, but you're still youngish. But you have lived and you have had to work, and she's a director of sales operations. You don't get up to that without being able to work with different people, especially in sales. I don't know the path she took to get there, obviously, but presumably she's a people person to get up there in her career. So yeah, excited.
Yeah, for sure. And, this is just a bio as well. There are plenty of people in the preseason who have said, absolutely no, I will not get into a showmance. And then, cut to 3 weeks later and they're in a showmance. So, I'll take that with a grain of salt, no matter how many times she says it in her bio.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Brent Champagne. We have, he is 28 from Cranston, Rhode Island, and he is a flight attendant. Brian, what are your immediate thoughts here on Brent?
So immediately, so in the duo section, he says Tyler and Angela. I feel like the duo's Tyler and Casey from that season, personally. Those two are really the ones who, shaped especially the end game of that season for me. So like the
Oh
fact that he's just like looking at them doesn't bode well for me in terms of reading and paying attention to what's happening in the game. Obviously he's from New England, so that's good. Soft spot from us. He's an athlete, and yeah, nothing from his bio stands out to me too much except for the not including Casey as the duos. But yeah, I mean, I think he's middle of the pack. I'm not as high on him as the last two.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Chad?
I'm in the same boat as Brian. I might even have him a little lower, but I think it'll be fun on camera because he even says in his bio he loves seeing the faces on people when they get backdoored. So I feel like that. I mean, maybe that means he's going to be a savage, which would be kind of cool. Maybe
we definitely use more of that, right? Like everyone loves to talk about the backdoor. No one seems to be using the backdoor anymore.
Right, everyone's so like scared to do it. They're afraid to hurt feelings, but like this guy says, "Screw it, do it." So I think he is commenting a little too much on his just athletic ability. So I feel like, I mean, you can't be a 100% physical threat in Big Brother. There's ways the game can get around it. I mean, unless you get picked for veto every time or you're constantly on the block, then, he could be easily susceptible to a backdoor himself. So I don't know. He's kind of lower on my list, but definitely not the lowest. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the best case scenario for this guy is he ends up in a showmance with somebody like Alyssa and ends up, letting her kind of take a strategic reign and him kind of take the comp reins. He mentions multiple times about his charm. He says he has his powerful charm. So I think most people who are actually charming usually don't talk up their charm to that degree as much, but we'll see. Definitely, we have on this cast maybe 3 to 4 kind of this like kind of douche bro meathead kind of vibe guys. Of those, I do think that Brent has the highest ceiling probably. But yeah, I don't know if he has an insane amount of win equity. Probably going to make it into like the mid-jury area, and then from there it'll be kind of a toss-up of whether he can pull anything off or go on a comp run.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to Brittany D'Angelo. She's a 24-year-old kindergarten teacher from Niagara Falls, New York. What are your thoughts about Brittany here? Not Bertini. I thought, she's not a Dratini, she's not a Martini. She's Brittini. Brittany D'Angelo. What are your thoughts, Chad?
Yeah, I read it as Bertini as well. But she's interesting to me because, she has a lot of favorite duos, Derek and Cody, which is my personal favorite. She has Tyler, Angela, but she also puts Tyler and Casey. So
all right, I'll allow it, I guess.
Conversation we just had, I'm like, wasn't there someone who mentioned Tyler and Casey at least, and it was her. Yeah. Davon and Bailey, which was a couple times mentioned in this cast list, and then Paul and Victor, which I thought was interesting. So Frenchy. She's clearly watched at least more recent seasons. She also, she seems to have the smarts to some degree if she's a teacher, even if it is kindergarten. But then she mentioned she's like a black belt, which is kind of cool. So she has an interesting background for sure. I don't see like too many red flags. I think, she might be someone who could be on the outs. Just, based on this cast list and the general feel of it. I could see her being on the outs with another cast member that we'll probably talk about in a bit. But she's also middle of the pack for me. I don't see her winning, but I also don't see her, going first. But maybe pre-jury for this one.
Yeah, I agree. I'll go. I agree 100% with what you just said. Where I also got the feeling with this cast that she'll probably end up on the outs or not like super socially integrated. Based off of her bio, she seems very like 100% all the time kind of energy. I don't know if that's gonna really blend in with the rest of this cast. She has fun facts about herself. She's listed basically more than most biographies under that list of fun facts about herself. I feel like that she's definitely going to be a kind of somebody to run her mouth about herself and talk a lot. That's kind of the feel that I'm getting. I don't know if that's going to play super well with this cast. I did like that she mentioned, she was one of like 2 or 3 people to mention Dan snaking Shane at the Final Four as one of her favorite moments. She also mentions the reset button week, which is, you take the good with the bad, but it's all right.
I mean, if she hates Frankie, I'm sure that was great. When Frankie's your winner pick, it's not so tight.
Well, she said that she liked Frankie, but liked the twist despite the fact that it screwed Frankie.
Okay, so that's just the wrong side of history entirely.
Yeah, it's certainly an opinion, and it's something she says that she, as a fan, cannot not pick it, which is odd. But
so you can.
Yeah,
okay.
there are plenty of fans in this cast that didn't. I wouldn't necessarily, but yeah, I'm not getting great vibes from Brittany. I definitely think that she could annoy potentially some people and end up being an early casualty if she doesn't get lucky with the twist comp outcomes. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know how I love that moment in BB14 when Dan snakes Shane. I've watched it, probably like once every couple months since it happened on YouTube, just because it's just so fucking cold and just so amazing. So I'm down for that. She said one of her favorite things to do is TikTok. So I looked up her on TikTok. She has 167,000 followers, so pretty nice, pretty good. She does dance TikTok, so not really my speed on there, but to each their own. So yeah, she's like a mid-tier influencer, I would say, like low key.
Okay.
I don't think that helps her at all in Big Brother, other than it's an interesting fact, and maybe she can use the social media strategy that I proposed last season. But I doubt she will. So, yeah, I'm lukewarm on her as well.
Yeah, she has a lot of interesting facts about herself, but none of the
she's got a lot of facts, that's for sure.
Yeah, when I went through casting for BB19, I think, there was a woman that she reminds me of where we had like a group casting situation. And when we were going around introducing ourselves and talking about ourselves, there was this woman who listed like every interesting thing that she ever did in her entire life for like a solid like 2.5 minutes until the casting person had to cut her off. Yeah, so that's kind of the vibes I got, and I immediately did not like that woman. she just had like an energy about her that made me, not want to really, be at that bar anymore. So that's kind of the vibes I'm getting off of Brittany. So we'll see. Obviously, this is all from a bio, so this is very, very light reads, but
right.
Yeah, not a great first impression for me. All right, let's move on to Christian Birkenberger. Christian, fun fact, I believe, is an alternate for this. There was a player named, I believe, Garrett, who was swapped out, I think, very late in the situation. And Christian was an alternate. That's probably not going to matter at all because, nobody's really going to know. And it doesn't actually play into anything. But interesting little factoid.
Is there any leak as to why there was a swap? Or?
No, just speculation. I think there are people speculating all kinds of different things. I'm not going to.
It's not our place to. Yeah, I don't know if there was like a.
No, nothing. It was. I think it was very, very recent. based off of what people have found through digging through the CBS back end.
Is that why his picture's so low res?
Perhaps. Also on, I think the graphic that Julie shared. It's why he is the name that is out of alphabetical order.
Yeah.
Where he is between Frenchy and Hannah, where Garrett's picture had previously been. But yeah, interesting factoid. It doesn't really matter at all, but I'm sure a lot of people will spend the next few days creating rampant speculation as to why that happened.
Should be fun, very healthy stuff happening online, as always.
Yep, that's the Big Brother fandom for you. But yeah, Christian is 23, and he is a general contractor assistant from Harwington, Connecticut. And he is a Zanky fan. Another. I think there are at least 4 Frankie Grande fans. This 4 out of Frankie's 7 fans all on the season.
On the same
definitely.
There.
Yeah. Yeah, Brian, what are your thoughts here on Christian?
He's like the definition of just I don't know how to white bread. I don't know. It's just not that interesting. I think the most interesting part about him is that he said that Jeff used the coup d'etat to backdoor Jessica, which I think we all still feel bad for her to this day. Jessica was robbed. But...
Yep, definitely. It's really crazy how he was able to go back in time and swap out Jesse Goddard's for Jessica Graff at the last moment.
Yeah, and she was his alternate, much like he's the alternate. Also, his life motto is deranged. It's sometimes your ice pop falls on a penny, which sounds like what someone says as they're having a stroke. Right before you're all aware that it's happening, someone just says that, and you're like, "Are you okay?" And then
it sounds like something like a dementia-addled grandfather would say.
Yeah, okay, granddad.
Piece of wisdom.
Nice.
Yeah. Thanks, Gramps. I'll remember that.
Oh man.
Sometimes your ass pop falls on a penny, son.
And then he's only had one girlfriend. Not to brag, he's only had one girlfriend. So
yeah, that seems like kind of a low-key humble brag, right?
Yeah, it does. It does. I have had one. Well, I don't know, because it's either very weird, he's had one girlfriend for a long time, or one time he dated a girl.
Right.
I think,
or maybe he's look at me, right? You'd expect me to have so many girlfriends, but it's really interesting. I've only actually had one. Fun fact.
It's I guess, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was great, or it was great.
Yeah. Not a lot. I assume his bio is so sparse because he's an alternate and probably had to write it kind of quickly at the last minute. That's my guess. I hope, because otherwise, not great.
Yeah. And also, no one proofread it.
Yeah.
It was yes, Jessica. Yep.
We gotta get this shit up on the site.
There's also a typo in it because he apparently loves Mini Gold. I love Mini Gold too. If I want Mini Gold, I would be pretty freaking hyped about it.
Oh man.
But it was clearly put together and no one read it. But like you said, he's very basic.
That's a better way to put it. Yeah.
Basic 20. How old is he? 23. You said 23-year-old guy. Nothing really stands out. He's kind of. I can't tell if he's sarcastic or not, because he always says "Oh, I'm such a joy. I want to appear fun and clueless," or "Bucket hacks, I look good in it. That's what I would bring in the house." It's okay, and then he's "Well, I want to bring my cologne because it makes me literally irresistible." And then I look at the guy and I'm I don't know, man. But that's besides the point. But yeah, no, he's basic. I feel like he'll probably be the third or fourth in a majority alliance kind of deal. He won't be too important to the alliance. He'll just kind of be in it because he's an athletic young guy.
Yep.
I mean, he doesn't say he's athletic, but he mentions a few different sports, and he does a lot of.
I assume when it says my ring, it reminds me to play through things. That's like a high school championship ring. Like, right? What does that mean if not? Yeah, an engagement ring.
Engagement ring's the one girl.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
One girl who managed to steal this, like, Adonis of a man. but either way, no, I mean, middle of the pack yet again. I don't think he'll be first, but I definitely don't see him in top 3 at all.
Yeah. I mean, I can get behind his favorite food being chicken and waffles. Fried chicken and waffles is pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, he likes disc golf, so that's a check for me.
Yeah, he seems like a normal, like, tangentially relatable dude who probably won't really offend many people and will, like you said, kind of get dragged into an alliance and end up getting picked off somewhere in the mid-game randomly. Yeah, that's pretty much my my assessment of him as well. But again, not much to go on because his bio is quite short. And maybe he could surprise us. You never know.
He's a Birkenberger, man. Just a plain hamburger. Nothing to expect.
He's a hamburger wearing Birkenstocks.
And a bucket hat.
All right. Let's move on to our next player here. Christy Valdiserri, a 27-year-old professional dancer from Philadelphia, but who now lives in NoHo in North Hollywood, California. Definitely a move. Makes sense for the career, though. And also, as you'll see later in our bio, she talks about her Baldtourage group, which I looked up, and it was started by her. And it's, I think it's like a social support group for women who are bald, primarily from medical conditions. So, for instance, I believe she has alopecia, and so there's women who have alopecia or who have lost their hair from like chemo treatment for therapy for cancer and stuff like that. Definitely a very cool cause that she has created around herself.
Yeah, I mean that's so fucking rough, especially for like us guys. If that happens, we just gotta bear it and go with it, and it's a lot more like normal. But that's a fucking tough draw. So,
yeah, the worst thing for guys is that people might think you're like a skinhead. It's pretty much the
right. Yeah.
Pretty much the only.
Or you might get like confused with like Dana White or Joe Rogan, like grouped into that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've shaved my head bald twice in the last 5 years, so definitely not a huge deal for me, but definitely understandable and definitely cool that she's created that social group around her. And also a dancer. I believe there are, again, a number of There's a lot of weird kind of like people who have said kind of similar things in their bios. I believe there are a couple of other dancers on the cast as well. Maybe not as professional as she is, but maybe more amateur dancers. But very cool. She seems really interesting, but I'm not 100% sold on her ability to play Big Brother well. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Christy here, Chad?
I think you hit the nail on the head, and she's an awesome person, it seems, just all around. Like, I feel like she'd be really fun to talk to. But in terms of Big Brother, what kind of stood out to me is when she mentions her favorite past moment, and she just mentions that she loves Haley, and the thing she loves about her is that she was honest with Bailey and telling her that she's the hacker, and that was a mature move. It's a mature move outside of Big Brother, but I mean, I don't remember like the exact scenario and how that all played out, but Haley didn't win, so like
it didn't play out great.
She does accurately say it wasn't her best game move. To be fair, it was definitely one of Haley's worst game moves of several.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, even if she was one of the other 15 people that said Dan's funeral was their favorite moment, then it would have been better than that. But I don't know. I think she has a lot to prove. I think she'll be like a really fun, like sociable person in the house. But in terms of gameplay, I don't know if she has the guts to, make that final push when she's sitting at like final 6 to put herself in a winning position. But I think she'll probably make it kind of far. I think at least jury.
Yeah,
Maybe.
no, for sure. I like her. I like her drive. I like her energy. I just am very I'm very pessimistic about her ability to actually pull it together in terms of gameplay. But yeah, maybe she could be a happy surprise. What do you think, Brian?
Well, she's definitely an alpha type personality. I mean, most people who get on the show are. Like, most of the things she talks about is just, like, doing a lot of things, which is, like, very alpha and very not me. Like, just reading her bio is exhausting enough, let alone starting clubs and all that. She's vegan and a pescatarian, which is, I guess that's a fun fact. I don't know.
Luckily, they still have all those that vegan food from Tyler and Danny last season. Hopefully,
true. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Maybe they have a little bit of leftover. What was it, like tofu ham that they made?
Fessy
eat. Yeah.
Yeah.
She says that she gave 5 piercings to herself, which is insane to me. I don't know. That's not normal, right? I don't have any piercings. I don't really get the subculture, but like stabbing yourself with a needle sounds awful.
Pretty metal.
Yeah, it is. So maybe she'll be good at like endurance comps. She can handle pain. Really trying to read between the lines with just these bios to go off of here, guys.
Yeah.
I guess it depends where all those 11 piercings are, but if they're where we're thinking, then
I don't know if there's a consensus of where we're thinking, Chad.
Yeah.
Oh boy, but yeah,
that'd be even worse speculation than what happened to Garrett.
Yeah, call Twitter up. We're off Garrett. Where are these piercings that she did herself? This is what we need BB Twitter to find out for us. But yeah, I don't want to repeat, but like exactly what Chad said. But I also was like, that's a weird moment to have your favorite moment be Bailey telling. Haley telling Bailey about the hacker. The only worst one would have been like my favorite moment was when Haley didn't stop Fessy from voting off Scotty for no reason. Those are the 2 things I remember about Haley. And yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, no, definitely a we'll see situation there. I'm leaning more towards the negative, but I think there's definitely enough there where she could surprise.
I'm more excited to talk about the next guy, to be honest.
Oh, for sure. I mean, look, the second I saw this cast, I was like, okay, Brian's going to be all over this guy. Yes. Especially after I saw the TikTok that he references. Yeah, so we have our next player on the cast, Derek Frazier, our first Derek of 2. So this will be Derek F.
Both spelled the same way, despite there being a range of ways to spell Derek.
Yeah, I mean, there's primarily 2.
Yeah. You got this, the D-E-R-E-K, D-E-R-R-E-K, or D-E-R-I-C-K. So those are the... D-E-R-R-I-C-K,
like Derek from Vassar.
Right, yeah. So...
Who he mentions in his bio.
As he should. He's got to carry the torch now. There's going to be a Derek fight at some point. We know it.
Yeah.
There has to be an alpha Derek. The Derekest Derek.
Yeah, and then Derek Kessler from BB Can 6 as well will show up.
It'll be good. He really fucking buries the lead of his bio. His dad is fucking Joe Frazier.
Yeah. Rest in peace. Yes, rest in peace, Joe Frazier, yeah.
Like, one of, the premier boxers of his era. Like, the man who fought Muhammad Ali. Like, that's buried so far down.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like you said, he seems fun. He's. I did think it was funny that he's like, talking up fitness. I also lift a lot of weights and don't do a lot of fat burning exercises. I wouldn't lead with I'm a fitness freak,
Mm-hmm. Right.
But to each their own. He seemed very fun. That TikTok, where I don't know if you've seen it. If you haven't, I'm sure you can find it on BB Reddit or BB Twitter right now, where he says that I can't get drunk from champagne, and it smash cuts to him singing drunkenly over presumably mimosas. Very fun. He says I know how to box. I would imagine he does.
Mm-hmm.
His dad
makes sense.
was Joe Frazier. But yeah, no, I like him a lot. And he also says that one of the things that he wants to bring in is his PlayStation, because he's going to miss playing video games. I would also miss playing video games a lot if I went into the Big Brother house. So yeah, no, this is my guy right here. As you said, Ben, you knew this is going to be my dude to root for. So
I was like, okay, we're going to probably do winner picks, Brian, me, Chad, based off of the placement for BB Can 9. Mm-hmm. So I could just lock in this guy's going to be Brian's winner pick. So I have the rest of the 15 for the field to pick from who I want.
That's accurate.
I love him. He seems really fun. I like that he references BB-8 with Dick and Jen and their arguments. Definitely a very odd poll, but I appreciate the amount of random polls from earlier Big Brother seasons that this cast has kind of come out with. So I'll take it. I think he's going to be great. I'm excited to see him on the show. I'm very hopeful that he does well in the game as well. I think that he seems to have probably the social chops to be able to do that. My worry would probably be late game competition wise, but we were surprised in BCAN 9 with Kiefer's competition ability, although Kiefer did kind of peter out in the end game in terms of comps. So, but we'll see. I'm definitely cautiously optimistic about Derek F's chances. What are your thoughts here, Chad?
I like him for all the same reasons you guys do. I just hope he lasts long so we can see more of him. But I think you hit the nail on the head with the end game. If he makes it that far, it's going to be a uphill battle for him, at least in terms of comp wins. And Final 3 comp, I don't think he's winning that. So, and he's as sociable as he seems to be, and just based on that TikTok and this bio, he'd have to be sitting next to a real this guy's gonna win if I don't take him. But no, I like this guy. I'm glad he's your winner pick already, Brian.
We're spoiling the end of the podcast here a little bit, potentially.
So funny. It was Ben literally said, "I know who Brian's gonna pick," and I was like, "I have barely seen anything, but I'm going to pick Derek." And Ben was like, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah. One of the easiest pulls in my life there, and making that call. I'm excited. I think he'll be a real character, and I hope that he also ends up being a good player as well, just so we can see as much of him as possible.
It's gonna be a fan favorite type.
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah.
That's the vibe.
All right, moving on here to our second Derek on the cast, Derek X, Derek Zhao. He's a 24-year-old startup founder. He is originally from Baltimore, but now lives in good old NYC. Chad, what are your thoughts here on our second Derek of the cast?
I feel like just like our other Derek, this Derek's cut from the same cloth as Benny Sharon, with the other Derek being cut from Brian's cloth here. But
hopefully these start a podcast afterwards. We got to find Chad's surrogate in this cast, and the three of them can start a competing podcast.
But no, this guy's yeah, right. This guy seems cool. I mean, he's like a genius just based on his bio. And he mentioned Dr. Will and Mike Boogie, so Chilltown. So that's good. No one else mentioned them, so clearly he's...
Oh, there was one other. There was one other moment.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's good. His favorite moment's Dan's funeral, which, I mean, it's a respectable moment. And, you know, he wants to just build friendships and alliances. He doesn't really mention anything about his physical or comp game, so I imagine he's definitely going to be more of a strategic player, not focused on comp wins, which I can also respect.
He did say in his bio about comps that he rented a city bike to compete in a triathlon and promptly crashed it. So read into that what you will. He Tour de France it, if you will.
Well, I have seen pictures of him, and I'm pretty sure he's pretty jacked.
Hell yeah!
He's got like a six pack.
Oh my god! Is it like a skinny six pack though, or is it like a?
Yeah, I think he's like a thin toned kind of situation.
That's good. That's like the ideal body type for like hanging on the wall type competitions and stuff.
That's a great endurance comp body type for sure.
Sorry, I completely interrupted you.
Oh. Yeah. No, I mean that pretty much wraps up. He seems like a pretty genuine dude. Where his startup company says ships meal kits by food influencers across the U.S. So
maybe him and Brittany can get together, ship some meals to her fans.
Yeah, so seems like a pretty genuine dude that we could all get along with. But I think he could go far if he plays the right game. Maybe I'd be hard pressed to see him win out though. He's gonna have to either be like a partner up with a big buff dude or someone who's good at comps. Mental comps this guy's probably got to unlock. So we'll see.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think as any nerd like archetype is gonna have to fight against the just like immediately perception of like, oh, he must be really smart. He's gonna be good at mental comps. Like that's just part of honestly wearing glasses into the BB house. Like it's not fair, but it is what it is. But yeah, he does actually seem legitimately smart. He's 24 years old and he's the head of a startup company. Definitely more than I can say even now at older than 24. So that's impressive. Moving to the city from his hometown, that's great. New York is probably a great way to prepare for Big Brother in terms of all the different personalities that you'll meet and interact with in that city. So I think that's great. Obviously, mentioning Chilltown, you like that. Not so much anymore outside of the house, but inside the house, like you said, they looked like they were having a great time. They definitely were.
Yeah, emphasis on the word.
Yep. And yeah, I like him. He's going to have to overcome the immediate. It's in Survivor too. It's in Big Brother. The nerd archetype always pegged right away is like you got to watch out for that guy. He's going to be smart. But if he can overcome that, I think he could do well.
Yeah, no, I think he could do well as well. He is one of the other people who mentioned that they had taken dance classes or is into dance. Potentially, dance. Yeah. He definitely seems like he has like a wide variety of interests that could like allow him to bond with like kind of a big group of people. And I think that is probably his biggest stumbling block coming in. Is just kind of forming himself into some kind of a clique or a group where he like is able to feel comfortable within that social structure. I do think based off of looking at his physique and kind of the way that he's talking about strategy, his upside is probably going to be something like Ian Terry. And you mentioned that there is kind of a stigma about like needing to watch out for like the nerdy type. But it's been a while since like that archetype has done well in the show. Steve
it's
Moses.
Because of the ghost of Ian and Steve. Like,
right.
Even Steve had to overcome the ghost of Ian at the beginning of that game.
It's been 6 years though since Steve won. and I do think that he kind of
no, don't say that.
that.
I have to accept I'm old. That was 6 years ago.
Yeah. I remember me and Chad watching that finale together.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Come on.
Definitely. I definitely think that he has the potential to not only be strategically competent, but also based off what I've seen from his physique, to be able to do well in some of these endgame comps. So yeah, I do think his biggest stumbling block will be getting through these first few weeks. He might be the kind of person who can benefit from this team twist if he ends up in a position where he's able to form like kind of an unnatural group from the teams, or to be able to have a week or two of safety to get integrated into a social structure a little bit more seamlessly. That's probably his upside for me. I definitely think he has a high ceiling, but he's definitely one of the more high variance players for me coming in.
Because he's definitely like, ideally he would hook up with like a kind of like meathead-ish character, and they'd have like where he's the brains, they're the brawn, or you could have other like not like someone who is a big fan and is strategic. That's how I would want to be in it. Like I would love to ally with someone like that, because it's like the reverse of like Meat Shield. It's like the nerd shield. Like people are gonna think that they're the strategic one, and you can kind of have them in front of you.
Sure. No, definitely something like a Brent or a Travis. I could see that with potentially.
So we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. I think I think high ceiling, but also potentially low floor, depending on how the first few weeks kind of shape out. Definitely going to be very dependent upon how well he can find footing in the social structure.
Right.
All right. Moving on to our next player, we have Brandon Frenchy French, who is a 34-year-old farmer from Clarksville, Tennessee. He's also, I believe, pretty well known as a Big Brother fan Twitter presence.
I was going to ask about this, because I had seen that, but I've never come across him. Do you know of him?
He's somebody that, like, I believe I've vaguely heard of in the past or seen, like, alum interact with on Twitter, but I know very little about him.
Okay.
And, I don't really want to, say more than that, because I don't know anything more than that. But he's definitely somebody who is a big fan and has been trying to get on the show very hard for X amount of years, and is like a presence on in the Big Brother circles online. But yeah, beyond that, do you have any thoughts on Frenchy, Chad?
Yeah, I didn't really know that about him until just now, so that sort of changed my view on him. Because reading this bio, I'm like, oh, this guy's kind of reminds me of Danny Thompson from BB16 a little bit, but now he has the super fan in him too, so that's kind of neat.
Well, Donnie was also
Donnie
a
was
super fan as well.
Yeah.
Was he really?
He was. Yeah. He was a.
Didn't help, but
yeah, it wasn't shown too much, but
you wouldn't get that vibe. But yeah, he is a big fan.
But no, I mean, this guy seems like he's pretty cool. I mean, he's definitely going to be an odd duck because he's the oldest member of the cast.
He's not actually. He's the second oldest. He looks like he'd be the oldest.
He looks the oldest.
He definitely looks older than 34. No offense to him.
Yeah.
No, I mean, he's a farmer. He spends a lot of time in the sun, Ben.
For sure. Yeah. I'm not gonna knock somebody for hard labor aging you past your years. Yeah.
Exactly.
There are worse ways to look older than you are.
Yeah. No, this guy's interesting. I like him just as a person. I mean, he even said at 13 he won an NFL national punt, pass, and kick competition, so that's pretty neat. So
that's very cool.
Maybe he's good at...
That is a fun fact.
That is a very fun fact. I like that. But no, I mean, I think he'll... It's tough with him, because I feel like he's either going to be total middle of the road or easy, like, block goat. People just put him on the top next to who they really want out.
Yep.
Like, he could easily fall in that role or just be, like, an early boot because, he's kind of just an odd duck to me, in terms of this cast, not as a person. But I could see it going either way. Again, he's one that I would be shocked if he goes really far, but be cool.
No, I agree with pretty much everything Chad said. I did enjoy his one of your favorite Houseguest duos. He said Brittany Haynes and Rachel's hair extensions. Great. Love that. And yeah, Dan's funeral on my daughter's birthday also was legendary, so you got a twofer in there as well. And yeah, I mean, we'll see. He might have trouble relating to everyone else on the cast because he lives a pretty different life from everybody else on the cast.
Mm-hmm.
Something that hurt Donnie as well, I felt like, in BB16, where it's just like wasn't a lot of like middle ground for him in a lot of the cast, and that put him in a weird position right from the word go.
Yeah, I agree. I also was thinking that he might end up being a perpetual pawn.
No, yeah.
And kind of like end up in the a situation where he's used as a pawn until he isn't needed in that role anymore. I do think that Donnie is a good comparison point, probably. Again, perhaps he'll surprise and can get into an alliance. And he is a big fan. He has potentially some chops to do something. But as we mentioned with Donnie, that doesn't necessarily translate when you're somebody who's so clearly socially outcasted from everybody else. I do think that he's going to struggle a lot. But he is somebody who might benefit from the team twist. As we mentioned before, a lot of these types who seem like they would be natural social outcasts based off of the cast could end up staying around 3-4 weeks longer than you would expect them to based off of the twist. And at that point, maybe they're necessary to be, dragged in as a number. And from there, you never really know. There's a lot that could potentially go right for Frenchy, but I think there's way, way, way more that could potentially go wrong for him. So, yeah, definitely, I'm definitely not super high on his chances, but we'll see. All right, moving on to our next player. I believe she is the youngest player on the cast, and I believe she is also the first Big Brother player in Big Brother U.S. history to be born in the 2000s.
Jesus. Let's say
take a minute, everybody.
Yeah.
Just we're here.
Mm-hmm.
Make and drink.
Well, unfortunately, so can she, so that doesn't help.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Doesn't make us feel any younger or older.
People born in 2000 are now allowed to drink. Yep. So we have here Hannah Chada, 21-year-old grad student from Chicago, and I'll give my thoughts first on Hannah. I actually am potentially pretty high on Hannah. I think that, from my perspective, the female cast is pretty top-heavy, and I do think that, we talked already about Alyssa and Azza. I do think that Hannah would be the third out of three in terms of the female cast that I would put towards the top of my list as potential solid players. I do like a lot of what she said in her bio. She seems like she could potentially be somebody who is a little bit more on the ruthless side. She kind of gives me some potential spicy V vibes, maybe. Hopefully with a better hat on her shoulders.
Awesome.
Hopefully with a better hat on her shoulders. Two of the things that she mentioned in her favorite past moments were very brutal blindsides. Dan snaking Shane again mentioned here, and then also Vanessa blindsiding Austin and sending him out of the house barefoot.
Definitely. I was like, damn, did I write the favorite moments of this?
Right.
I'm here for this. All my favorites.
And Davon again. Yeah.
Vanessa, Davon, and Dan's cutting or betraying Danielle and getting Shane out. Like, hell yeah.
This is your class, Brian.
Yeah.
I would probably get along with Hannah really well. Like, we seem to be on the same BB wavelength.
Yeah, so she definitely kind of gives me those, like, kind of ruthless, like, cold vibes where she, might get in a situation where she's going to have to cut a bitch. And, if that's the case, I'm here for it. And obviously, I think the biggest red flag for me is probably her age. However, she mentions the fact that she basically sped run college. She's now a grad student at 21. So maybe that means, that could potentially mean one of two things. Either she also sped run her, maturation period where she's grown up faster and had to, take on more challenges in life faster. She's had to get out of, she's had to, live alone faster maybe, or meet people at college faster. It could also mean that she's, so focused on speedrunning school that she has put, more social things to the side. But, she also is one of the other players who has mentioned the fact that she is a hip-hop dancer. This is the third dancer. As I mentioned, there's a lot of dancers on this cast, so maybe a potential there for
maybe
an alliance.
New Wax Street Boys will emerge.
Yeah, new Wax Street Boys, yeah. I'm very cautiously optimistic about Hannah's chances. I'm very excited to see what she can do. What are your thoughts here, Brian? You already mentioned you have a number of things in common with her in terms of your Big Brother opinions.
Yeah, her Big Brother opinions are objectively correct, which is good. I agree with a lot of what she says there. Like I said, I think her and I would be on the same wavelength. I do think the biggest issue is, one, she's the youngest and young on a cast that skews closer to 30 than to 20. And something that happens a lot with people who are very smart and very young is sometimes they kind of take for granted, like, I'm the smartest person in any given situation, and that can really be a bad, point of view in these types of games.
Yeah.
It really, really leaves people open to getting duped because they don't give the proper respect to their competition. Do you think that's an unfair thing to say? The hubris of intelligence can come along, and maybe she's not like that at all. Maybe she's very grounded and down to earth. But that is my one concern reading through her bio, is that she is especially I'm super smart, I'm a super big fan, I'm gonna come in here and cut people, and having that attitude opens you up to everyone else being able to just see it and be like, well, we can't trust her. I think Audrey had a similar situation where she had played lots of games. She felt like going into the game she was exceptionally prepared for it, and tried to play too hard too fast, and didn't necessarily see people like Vanessa coming, and it was ultimately her downfall. So that's the one thing that I fear for Hannah. But I think Hannah would be somebody who if we ever had her on a podcast, we could very much get along with her and her BB opinions.
Yeah, Chad, do you have anything more to add on Hannah?
No, I pretty much agree with everything you guys said. She gives a little bit of that, elitist kind of vibe almost. I don't want to say that without seeing her.
Which is deserved. She did go through college very quickly.
I'm here because I'm smarter than you, kind of deal.
I got my shit together.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just can't relate, but
I mean, I always like when someone, I always like when someone says I'm not afraid to make moves, I'm not afraid to bathe in people's blood, but and play hard, get messy. It's I'm going back to Spicy V, you can't be too messy. But she's one that I really need to see the video on before I can decide, okay, she's actually going to be good, or okay, she's just thinks she's better than everyone because she's, such a go-getter type, so accomplished at such a young age. And she even says she is going to, lie about her occupation and career aspirations because she doesn't want to overestimate her intelligence right away. If you're not even in the job yet, then, does it really matter? But I don't know. I have the same worry as Brian here, but maybe she is down to earth. Who knows?
Yeah, I think a couple of days of feeds of us getting to see her, we'll know whether or not she's going to go far.
Yeah, it's either hit or miss. It's going to be hit or miss. But I think she'll do pretty well in the game. I could see her going far, but I can also just see her being an easy, everyone gang up on this girl because she thinks she's better than us.
Yeah. No, yeah, she's definitely setting up very high expectations for herself that she's probably not going to completely fulfill. But if she, doesn't flame out, I think that there is a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our next contestant here on Big Brother 23, we have Kyland Young, 29-year-old account executive originally from San Bernardino County, California, now living in Venice Beach, California, which are very close to each other. So not really, not really a ton
I was actually thinking about that. I was like, is that in my mind they're really close, but then California's huge, so maybe they're not. But
I'm pretty sure they're pretty close. Yeah.
It's not like Massachusetts where if you drive for 3 hours, you're out of the state in any direction.
Yep. So I know we talked briefly over text. We don't want to get too deep into these players over text because we wanted to save it for the podcast. But Chad, this is somebody that you had said you had your eye on. So let us know, what are your thoughts here on Kyland?
Yeah. Guy, after we reviewed Christy, he kind of gives you that same alpha type vibes where they do so many different things. He lists so many of these active things he does, like parkour, or skeet shooting, or fire walking. That's pretty cool. There's an Office reference that I'm sure that other chick will like. But no, this guy's into all sorts of things, but he also is a big movie fan. So he's gonna be rich in pop culture, so he's well rounded in that way. He also loves the Hitmen, which that's automatic check in my book. He does mention Tyler and Angela and Jessica and Cody, so it's okay.
Probably gonna end up in a showman's.
Yeah. He's one that definitely could. But no, this guy, I feel like he's definitely watched some Big Brother. I'm not sure if it was mostly just from his time in Sequester, because he only mentions BB14 and BB16 really, and then the Justin Cody seasons. But he says his main strategy is he wants to combine Derek and Cody's game, which that's aiming for the top right away.
It's $1 million idea.
No shit. But then he also
right. Everyone would love to combine their games. Yeah.
He also mentions Casey, where he wants to turn on competitions toward the end, which is, I think he also has the physical ability to do it. So I don't know. He gives me that alpha go getter type, but also kind of down to earth type, and just seems like a well rounded, interesting guy. Based on everything you said, he's kind of nerdy. My favorite thing about this guy, and I think it's the reason I like him so much, is he says he uses a fake police badge to skip all the lines at Comic-Con because it's the only place you can legally pretend to be a cop.
Yeah, that was fun. I liked that.
I thought that was good. But I like this guy. I think he could do pretty well. He'll be well liked in the house at least.
Yeah, no, I like it. Obviously, his things of I would like to be a combination of Derek, Cody, and Casey. Yeah, that would be good.
And Dan.
Dan. That would be a really good BB player. That's a lot to live up to, though. So we'll
just
see.
Name your 4 Big Brother winners. I'd like to play like them.
Yeah. But yeah, no, he's really interesting. I really enjoyed that. I read all the Twilight books because he started reading it for a girl and then he got into it, which is fun and funny. And he's, a Star Wars fan, so very relatable. He goes to Comic-Con, also very relatable to a nerd like myself. And yeah, he works for a company that helps students find and win scholarships. Is a pretty noble, as noble as you can get within capitalism, I suppose. I like him. He has good vibes from his bio.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I like is he mentions that he doesn't care about being on TV or the cash prize. All he cares about is coming to play and win Big Brother. Mm-hmm. And, that's the kind of energy that I like. Chad mentioned that maybe he was kind of recruity or he saw seasons in Sequester. He does mention that the first time he saw season 14 was a couple of years ago. So at the very least, he has seen the show, for at least a few years and has gone back actively to watch old seasons before having been on the show. So I think that's good for me. I do like him a lot. I agree that he definitely has a lot of interests and a lot of interesting facts about him, but in a way that comes off more as relatable than braggy. I'm hoping that can lead to him being able to socialize well with a wide variety of people in the house. Again, somebody who is talking a big game up in his bio, and if he, delivers what he's trying to come off as that he could potentially be, even if just like a fraction of that, I definitely think we're in for a treat here in terms of what we can expect from Kyland.
Become a Voltron of 4 great winners, all merged into one.
We'll see. We will see.
It could be recency bias, but he gives me like the slightest bit of Tashawn vibes mixed with like actual like prior knowledge of Big Brother, and maybe has potential to actually play really good. I mean, Tashawn obviously won.
Yeah, he played good.
He played good, but like I don't know. I feel like this guy could be like the BBUS Tashawn.
Yeah.
I would take that because I enjoyed watching him win. So.
He definitely seems like he has the same sort of like laid back vibes that we saw from Ty, where he can kind of like silently just kind of get along with everybody, and not really like be a part of drama, which I think is one of the best things about Ty's game. Was that he, like, compared to Jed, who was the other, like, kind of alpha player in that season, Jed was much more, hot-headed in terms of, like, stirring up drama or getting himself involved in things, whereas Ty was always more of the cool head shall prevail type player. So that may be something to look for in Kyland here. I agree. Definitely looking forward to seeing what we get from him. Trying to see which I feel like he's going to have a lot of one-on-one conversations with people where he just finds something random to bond with them on. So that'll be fun. I could see a lot of like early feeds conversations with him that could be a lot of fun to watch.
Yep.
All right, moving on to our next player. We have Sarah Stegall, 27-year-old forensic scientist from Boiling Springs, South Carolina originally, now living in Fort Myers, Florida. She, we've talked kind of about some nerdy, kind of players in the cast, but I think that if anyone's going to be like the nerd archetype, she definitely has like this kind of quirky girl, nerdy, she's kind of a weeb cosplayer situation going on.
Mm-hmm. So I definitely like she kind of has like the Zoe Deschanel like 2015 vibes. A dying breed too. As millennials get older, that's gonna completely disappear. So it's good to preserve this on a season of BB.
The nerdy, quirky girl next door type. Yeah.
Not Nicole Franzel, but the other Nicole from that.
Nicole Anthony, definitely potential. Definitely Nicole Anthony 1.0. Yeah, it's didn't do too bad. We don't talk about Nicole Anthony 2.0. What are your thoughts here on Sarah, Brian?
I'm worried for Sarah. Straight up. She seems like she's really a nice, sweet girl who is going to, similarly to Nicole Anthony 1.0 at the beginning of the game, just be out of her element completely.
Yeah.
Hopefully she pulls a good team. She's afraid of butterflies, so her and Holly Fiore have that in common. Better not land on her.
Yeah, she'll start crying as well.
Yep. She says, despite being a forensic chemist, I've never seen Dexter. Clearly, because Dexter has, I guess he's a forensic scientist, but that's not the point.
No. Not what he's best known for on the show, for sure.
No.
Also Walter White in Breaking Bad. Technically a chemistry teacher, not necessarily what he's best known for.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, she's a cosplayer. That's fun. Of course, it makes you think of Kevin from BB19 saying cock play. At least it made me think of that.
Oh, Ramsey, right?
Yeah, Ramsey said he's a cosplayer. Cuts to Kevin be like, cock play? So that's good. Yeah, she likes watching manga and anime. Like you said, she's a weeb. I do not feel like this archetype is going to be well related to within this house.
No.
I like that she likes Zach Rance and Brittany and Ian. That's good. Frank and Bridget's... that's so weird to say that.
I mean, Bridget was also kind of like this, soft-spoken nerdy girls, archetype style. She's probably like one of the closer relatable players in terms of recent seasons.
Yeah, and everyone loved her, and she got treated really well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, maybe this also mentioning Frank and Bridget and Brenny and Ian does lead into the theory that I had brought up that they showed them all of the team seasons at Sequester.
Yeah,
100%.
No doubt.
BB11, BB14, and BB18. A lot of references to those 3 seasons on these cast bios. So maybe attentive super fans could maybe make some inferences based off of that. Yeah. I don't know. I think the best thing that happened to Brittany was Sarah being cast on this season, because a lot of things I said about Brittany potentially not finding a social footing, I think would doubly count here for Sarah. I do think her upside is probably kind of falling kind of ass backwards into a majority alliance based off the team structure. And then maybe finding her footing in the post-jury. But I think, I agree with you, Brian, that I do not see a big path for her with this cast to finding any sort of social footing, which is, sad because she seems fun and sweet or whatever based off the bio, I appreciate the nerdy things. I'm not a huge weeb, but I can respect it.
And I think, well, I'll pose this to you, Chad. I don't know if you get it, Chad, but as someone who's very openly nerdy, everyone expects me to love anime. I do not like anime, but I keep getting talked to about anime, and
I think of the 3 of us, Chad is probably the biggest weeb. So maybe you can give some insight here on to Sarah.
It's one thing to actually watch all that stuff, and I only watch a handful now, maybe 2 or 3 at most. But the ones that overshare that they are a weeb, and I mean, this is one of the top 3 things she says about herself, that she likes anime and manga. It's those are the types that are I don't know, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan of her overall. I think as a person, she'd be fun. She seems like that sweet, quirky type that we've been over. But like I was saying earlier in the text, I think she's one that could very easily find herself just the odd duck out. I don't see her fitting too well with this cast. I mean, maybe the last guy we just talked about, because he also mentioned, some like Comic Con and stuff. But like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think she'll have a tough time fitting in, and that's my biggest fear for her. And even so, if she does fit in, I don't think she's cut out for the social game as much or the comps. I don't know. I see her being a pretty early boot, honestly, which is sad, but we gotta have one dud, right?
I mean, I wouldn't consider her a dud as well. I think that I think it would be fun if Kylan has like a very big like social structure built around him, and he has Sarah as kind of like the Ian to his Brittany in BB14. That could be really interesting, where he's kind of like in a very dominant social position, and he just has this person to his side as like a loyal soldier, as like a pocket vote. That's probably her upside. And Ian did end up winning in that spot, but he did go on a comp run. So that is the quack pack, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's her, like, if we're going to paint a path where Sarah wins the show, that's probably what it would have to be. But I don't know how likely it is that she'll be able to make that sort of a run happen in Endgame. And I think otherwise she'll probably have a really tough time getting into a position to win. So, yeah, unfortunate, but they're definitely, there's always going to be players in the cast where you're just like expecting them to go early, and if they don't, you're like, oh, this is a happy surprise.
Yeah, we didn't podcast about BB21, but I definitely, well, we did kind of like did live feed update stuff, but we didn't do this show. I definitely remember having conversations like about Nicole Anthony, where it's like, I hope she does well, but I don't think she will. But she surprised us, so
yeah,
it could be
for sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was. I remember in our preseason assessment for BB21, I said Nicole Anthony is not winning the game, and like she's like the 16 out of 16 on my list or whatever I said. And she got extremely close to winning that season. Extremely close to winning that season. So yeah, there's definitely a path. I think it's going to be a very, very tenuous path though for somebody like Sarah to win with this cast.
For sure.
All right, let's move on here to our next player. And Chad mentioned before that he had thought that Frenchy was the oldest player, but Tiffany here is the actual oldest player on the season. Tiffany Mitchell, a 40-year-old phlebotomist from Detroit. And something we didn't mention about Frenchy is he is a parent. I believe there are 3 parents on this cast. Tiffany is a second parent that we'll talk about. Yeah, what are your thoughts here, Chad, on Tiffany, our kind of token like older person, older being very, very loosely used here because 40 is not that old.
And she does not look 40.
No.
We talked about Frenchy looking older than he was. She looks younger than she is.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Frenchy feels like an older soul, and it's just probably why
It's the farm work.
Yeah.
She feels like a younger soul to me overall, I guess. But no, she seems like she'll be like a fun person in the house. Like, I mean, she literally one of her favorite things to do is just like entertaining people, she says. So I'm sure she'll be a social butterfly, and probably that'll help her really fit in, despite her, being a little older and having kids. I mean, there are 3 parents in the house, but being the oldest, you kind of fall into that role. I feel like in most seasons of just like you get the oldest. So I think she has potential to just break that stigma, but nothing really jumps out at me with her in terms of Big Brother play. The only thing that kind of makes me question her is the last fun fact about herself is she says, "I utilize my alter ego." What is that? And
Judas, remember?
Yeah, hopefully she lasts long enough we can learn.
I hope she's just an absolute savage. That'd be pretty fun. But no, yeah, she's someone I can see being like, I mean, she'll probably bond with the other, African American girls in this cast. There's a handful actually. There's 1, her, and then technically Hannah, I guess. So there's 3 already, and then we have 2 other guys. So it's a pretty diverse cast again. So I think she'll like bond with that group pretty well, and then I could see her also bonding with really everyone, honestly. But I don't know. She kind of gives me like almost like Devon vibes, but like a little different.
If she can have if she can have the older person life knowledge, but like relate to the younger players, she can be in a very good spot. I think like we've seen just even last season, Tara was certainly held back by being older than her castmates, being at a different point in life. She talks about having a child, being away from her son's going to be tough. It is an older cast, but it's like everyone's around 30, and then she's on the other side like 40, and then Hannah's like the 21, so they're the 2 outliers on the cast. So it'll be interesting to see another person who is like, I need a video on her to just see what she's about before I can really say, because there's a lot of upside, but there's a lot of like, I'm obsessed with horoscopes. How obsessed are you with horoscopes? I've met a lot of people who are very into that stuff who I do not like and cannot get along with, and I don't think can get along with, people generally. But some people are obsessed but don't talk about it. And then there's like, I do voice impressions of my friends and family. She's doing impressions of people in the diary room. I think that'll be really fun, So we'll see for her, but I think it's my biggest thing, as with Hannah, is the age and how she's different, from everyone else on the cast by just being an outlier.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's always going to be, you're always put at an immediate disadvantage when you're like the token older person on Big Brother. There are like a handful of players who are able to overcome it, but it definitely puts you on the back foot immediately. It does, again, with this team twist, create a situation where maybe she'll be able to overcome it if she gets safety for a week or 2 at the start of the game. My biggest issues for her beyond that, his bio is very sparse, so there's not a lot to go on. But I don't like the fact that she says that her strategy is to keep her mouth shut. I think that in general, that's a kind of an okay strategy for the first half of Big Brother. But for somebody like Tiffany, who is already going to be an automatic social outcast just because of demographics, you kind of need to put in more effort than other people otherwise would in those first few weeks to, if anything, be more social than you otherwise would be, and like to talk and be like an open asset to other people. Like if she can be an asset in terms of like information gathering for people specifically, that could be a useful spot for her to be. So I worry that I don't know if she knows the role that she needs to play in order to succeed based off of that archetype. But yeah, we'll see. There isn't a lot to go on because she's giving a lot of like 1-sentence answers to her bio. So yeah. And then, to go off what Chad said, something that we didn't really mention off the top, but CBS and, we discussed also with BBCAN9 on the Canada side, global, there's been, starting this past year, a huge push for like a diversity initiative for the reality casting. Again, we saw it with BBCAN9, we see it with this season, we see it with the, spoiler leaked casts of Survivor 41 and 42. That are upcoming in the fall and spring. So definitely makes it a lot easier for people of color on this cast, who otherwise on Big Brother have had a rough time historically, to have that hopefully be less of a stumbling block. But in Tiffany's case, the age is still going to be an issue.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to our third to last player on this cast. Travis Long.
From talking about the diversity initiative to the opposite of that.
Yeah, a guy who had people dig up a skit he did for Barstool Sports
Oh God.
That's not. Listen, Barstool does a lot of hard work, and as someone who also does a lot of like video editing and production, I can appreciate that aspect of the company. But there's definitely certain things that Barstool does that I cannot get behind. And I'm guessing this skit was one of those.
It wasn't that bad. As far as
it's just the association of the name.
For Barstool, it was somewhat tame. You can find it out. I can send it to you guys after we record. But the general idea of it was he's being interviewed as a student at the University of Texas. I believe it's all like scripted satire, and if it is, he's actually an okay actor for like an internet sketch where he's like basically. Like a douche bro man whore, and it's kind of like his college friends are doing like kind of an intervention with him because he's like too into getting laid and like partying with girls.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen it, but that's decent.
Yeah, it was sketch. It was probably like one of the, as far as Barstool sketches go, it was one of the tamer ones. But definitely, I think, I want
to be very clear in case David Portnoy ever sees this. Please do not destroy us. Like, I know you've made a deal with the devil to vanquish your enemies, as I've seen this happen times and times again. Where we have respect for the technical aspects of the website.
Yeah, and there is some funny stuff like mixed in with some of the other stuff with Barstool. Right. But I mean, if he in real life is anything like the character, the like kind of pseudo-satirical, like kind of half-real character he was playing in that sketch, he's obviously going to do a showman's 100%. He's going to be probably very grating. I think the internet fans will not love him. But
Twitter's gonna be rough for Travis.
But maybe from a game perspective, maybe there's he mentions his favorite duo is Brett and Winston. I think his ceiling is probably Brett.
We knew Travis. We knew that.
Yeah. He's leaning into it. He's leaning into it. Yeah.
Has anyone found his books yet on Amazon?
God.
I'm fascinated. I would love to read that.
He definitely comes off in his bio as somebody who is heavily exaggerating a lot about himself. He says, I've started multiple businesses since high school, and I have been sued by massive titans of industry. I feel like I could have seen some elaboration on that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, we will not. Thank you.
Something else that will make the feedsters and internet fans love him is he talks several times in his bio about wanting to prank people in the house. Something that Big Brother fans definitely don't get annoyed by when it's done over and over again ad nauseum. But I mean, okay. Beyond the fact that he's kind of a douchebag on first sight. I think he's self-aware, at least, that he's a douchebag. Hopefully, and there is potential if he gets into a showman's and he's not like a complete moron in terms of the game. I mentioned before, getting into a showman's in Modern Big Brother, if you're not completely incompetent, is like a ticket to the jury and probably a pretty good spot to, get into the end game. But we'll see. What are your thoughts on this guy, Chad?
I mean, you kind of wrapped it up for me. I need the ball already. Like, reading these fun facts, like, if they're not completely over-exaggerated, like, if he's a published author, but, like, his mom's the only one that's bought his book on Amazon, then...
He's a published author on Amazon, which I think means self-published.
Yeah, so... I mean, if he's started multiple businesses and really been sued by big companies, then he must have some brains at least, or maybe not like too.
Not if he's,
you
if
can't
he's
just
sued
make Google too, Travis.
He's like Jin Yang. He's like making new Google and new Facebook.
Yep. Oh, man.
It's not Apple, it's Pearphone.
Yeah, it's a Pearphone, exactly.
Yeah.
Shout out Paramount Plus. You start your trial so you can watch the new iCarly.
This is the guy. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's gonna be a total douchebag. I think he's gonna be your token like showman's guy who probably.
Oh, yeah, he's the surfer dude, right? He's like the surfer archetype.
Yeah, he mentioned surfing, spearfishing, even for his dinner, oftentimes.
Mm-hmm.
And he even says he loves the ocean so much that he wants to stay in it so he can live off of sushi and he would never have to do his hair. And he wants to bring the ocean into the Big Brother house.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a good idea.
It's called.
It is a beach theme. It's a beach/casino theme, which is what I've heard.
Ooh, home field advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be relevant.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's a tool, I think. But I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope he's like an actual genuine guy. But anyone that does this in their picture is kind of a. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But no, he's totally gonna be like that guy who's in a power alliance because he's probably a comp beast and he's probably in a showmance with one of the hot chicks.
He's
And
first HOH.
yeah,
Oh,
first
yeah.
HOH vibes, except
Yep.
not like Cody because that's my guy. And then
Oh my
you
god.
get kicked off as soon as someone with some sort of smarts wins the comp and he's backdoored.
The team twist ending is going to be unfortunate for
Yeah.
him.
Team twist is when Travis Long's stay becomes a little short. So that was a very bad pun, and I think that wraps it up for me.
All right, I'll go. So from the bio, from the shirtless picture in a tropical location that mentions spearfishing, I think he thinks he's going to go on Survivor. And they swapped him into BB at the last minute. I think he'd probably do better on Survivor than Big Brother. I mean, soccer bro. Sorry, it's soccer in his bio. Surfer bros don't have a great, run. Tyler aside, of course, on Big Brother. As you guys have said, the internet's going to be really mean to him, undoubtedly. So we'll see what happens. If he does well, he can probably go work for Barstool, for real. I just want to say I prefer the Pat McAfee show to Barstool, also. Pat.
Yeah. No, I'll send you guys the sketch so you can watch it. It's not the worst. He talks... He uses a lot of weird, like halfway between AAVE and Zoomer lingo. I think it's all scripted though. And he talks about wanting to like where the thoughties at, because where's the hot Latina mamas at?
Okay, yeah, so he's definitely getting destroyed on Twitter as we speak. Oh man, I want to go from one person getting destroyed on Twitter to the other person probably getting destroyed on Twitter.
Yeah, okay. Moving on to Whitney Williams, 30-year-old makeup artist from Portland, Oregon, our third parent on the cast, and definitely interesting. One of the more interesting things I saw was that when she was a kid, presumably when she was a kid, I hope, she was trying to set up the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus because she's that much of a matchmaker. I don't know exactly how that would work out, but okay. Yeah, what are your thoughts on Whitney here, Chad?
I think she's like, I don't know. She just seems kind of dumb, to put it lightly.
Yeah, she's got big dits energy. I've got that as well.
No offense to her, but this bio is very lackluster. But
yeah.
I'm hopeful that this Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus thing happened last year because I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
She did start her own company and it said it was nominated for Best in Oregon only 3 years after she started it. So maybe that's something.
Yeah. To be fair, there's only 4 companies in Oregon, so.
True. I don't know though. It's like there's so little to go off of with her and she just like says like the most like basic like, oh yeah, I watched Big Brother and Sequester like quotes here of liking, Jordan and Jeff, liking Derek and Dan and Cody, and it's just like that's such basic stuff that I feel like that's definitely the seasons they showed these guys because they're all saying the same things except for like a handful of people said other seasons. But I don't know. I think she's very basic. I think she'll probably find herself at the bottom of a pretty big alliance and then just get picked off. And she's going to be like floater for sure type. But I don't know. Any one of these people could impress me. And I think there's just not enough here. I have to see her video to really see if she's actually dumb. But I don't know. I hate to say someone's dumb, but this bio sucks.
Yeah, I think when you use LOL in writing on a written bio multiple times, that for me really kind of puts it over the edge. I don't know. Like, you can get away with 1, I think. Yeah, I don't know this. What are your thoughts, Brian?
The whole time Chad was talking, I was desperately trying to find her TikTok because I knew she had one from Twitter earlier. I did find it. She has 159,000 followers.
Jesus.
So, pretty good. Yeah, I just saw her, like, doing a very, like, redneck girl with gun TikTok on Twitter. So, that's why it has a 1.2 million views on TikTok. And, yeah, that's why I said she's probably getting killed on Twitter.
So that's what Big Brother stopped recruiting off of Instagram. Now they're recruiting off of TikTok.
Yeah, she only had 15,000 followers on Instagram. I had to go from her Instagram to find her business Instagram and then search her same handle on TikTok, and that's how I found her TikTok. Okay. Yeah, so, if you need any internet sleuthing done, I got you. But yeah, she might do well if she gets into a showmance, but I don't think she's going to do well other than that.
Yeah.
But she is single, according to her TikTok bio. So she's
single mama.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, she's very, very low on my list for this cast in terms of my expectations. Do you guys know what Tillamook is? Is that a local ice cream? Is that like? I kind of want to Google that now.
I'll Google it. You keep going.
Yeah, she mentions that she developed her own Tillamook ice cream flavor. If that's like a national brand, that's pretty cool. If that's like a local brand, that's a little less cool. So I don't know. I've never heard of it before. I eat a lot of ice cream, so.
It has a nice website.
Okay, I feel like it's 2021. Anyone can pay for their nephew to make a nice website.
Extra creamy ice cream since 1947. Farmer owned since 1909.
Okay.
75K followers on Instagram.
Where are they based out of? Are they based out of Oregon?
They're based out of Oregon. There's a Tillamook, Oregon.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. Yeah, 50K on Twitter.
Okay.
Ovi from BB 21 follows them on Twitter.
Okay.
That's something.
Okay, maybe they are bigger than just a local brand. I just haven't heard of them.
They are national, it seems. They have 2 locations in Boston where they serve it.
Really?
Yeah, one in New Hampshire, one near Albany, another in Hartford. So they're in like bigger cities areas.
Okay. Yeah. I'll have to check them out. I'll have to check out some white chocolate raspberry. Get a little bit of a taste of Whitney here.
Yeah, at some point, bring it. You can give us a little review of her ice cream.
Virginia and Maryland, though. So
we can put that on our Instagram at We Could Get Everything. Ben's review of Tillamook ice cream.
What's your flavor? What's your flavor?
White chocolate raspberry.
That does sound good, in fairness.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of fruit in ice cream, but maybe it'll be good. But yeah, it kind of demonstrates how much there is to talk about her. That we spent an extra 3 minutes of her segment talking about the ice cream flavor that she designed. Because there are so many.
Do you think she'll have to wear the ice cream costume? Oh no, that's a Wheaties costume. Never mind. I was thinking Nicole's. Maybe they'll break out an ice cream gallon ice cream costume for her.
Yep. Okay. Maybe.
You can have that idea for free, brother.
Maybe if Tillamook reaches out for a sponsorship cross promotion situation. But yeah, I do not see Whitney doing well. It would be a shock to me if she does well in this game, based off of this bio. But again, we're basing off very little information, just the bios, no videos, no interviews. So any of the players,
the bios and one TikTok.
Yeah, and one TikTok that the Twitter detectives have digged up. So yeah, I would definitely lean pretty heavy into the thumbs down on Whitney based off of first impressions, but you never know.
Well, just kidding.
Chad's like,
damn it!
Furiously stretching her out. Like, who's my number 2?
Everyone loves ice cream. Why not Whitney?
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to our final contestant here on Big Brother 23, Xavier Prather, 27-year-old attorney, originally from Kalamazoo, Michigan, now living in Milwaukee. And I will just say straight off the top here, I am super impressed by Xavier's bio. I love this guy. Literally everything in his bio is exactly what I would want from a Big Brother bio. It's actually funny. I kind of skimmed over like the top part where it's like where you're from and all that, because it's mostly irrelevant beyond their name. And I got all the way to the end and I saw him mention law school. And then I paused for a beat, and then I scrolled back up to the top, and I saw that he's an attorney, and I was like, oh, okay, so he has his bio, and he's an attorney. Okay, now we're working with something here. But yeah, he mentions BB14, Brittany Hayes' goodbye messages. Even better, he mentions Danielle Reyes, a very specific thing that you would only know if you actually watched BB3. I love that. Both great polls. Great people to reference. He also is the other person we mentioned Chilltown above, and he also says R.I.P.
He seems to know, yeah.
He is keyed in enough on the greater Big Brother universe / fan community to know that Chilltown truly is R.I.P. because Boogie is no longer
his fucking mind.
Yeah, he's no longer among the sane, and him and Will are not going to ever speak again. So definitely good signs that he is this keyed into knowing about Big Brother. His strategy segment is short, but very good. He has a lot of good stuff in terms of demonstrating social abilities. He seems to be, he's very good looking. He seems to be at a good age. 27 for this cast is pretty much right spot on in the middle. I assume he's smart if he's an attorney. He comes off as very smart. And yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in here for me. I don't know about you guys, but I really, really like Xavier.
Yeah, I mean, if my heart wasn't already taken by Derek for my winner pick, I probably would pick him. He seems awesome. He seems down to earth. He's obviously quite smart. He went to law school. He's an attorney now. Like you said, he's very good looking, which, I mean, there's no two ways about it. That helps in any social situation, let alone a social game. The one funny thing he said, where he's like, oh, living with 15 people will be difficult. And then, because I don't have experience with that, and he's like, I have 10 siblings.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
I think he'll be all right. With 10 siblings, I think the things that get annoying about living in the BB house, you'll be able to overcome. But yeah, I think he's great. barring disaster, he will go far.
Agreed.
Anything else to add, Chad?
No, I love this guy. I think it's my turn to pick a winner pick last, so I'm kind of afraid that this guy might go on me. But
I'll be up to
but no, he was like after I read the other guy, I already forget his name, so clearly it's not that important. But Xavier, no, he stands out a ton to me. I mean, he mentions everything that like I would want to put in a bio here: Hitman, Chilltown. He comes from a large family. I mean, the only thing that did kind of was like, I don't know, man, was his needing alone time to recharge. But I'm like, I get that. So
yeah. It's going to be hard to do in the house, especially at the beginning of the game.
Yeah,
it's impossible, right?
And you're also being watched 24/7, so that might get in his head a little. But I don't know. I think this guy's like everything you would want in a player, like Benny said. So, and he's interesting. He's well-rounded, smart. He's studied abroad in England and Scotland, so he has the world experience to some degree. I think it's funny that he says he's not a fan of coffee when Alyssa, was it Alyssa? It was one of the girls outward said I love coffee. It's like the air she breathes. So that'll be a fun conversation to see happen in the house.
I mean, another good thing on him.
I think so.
It might have been Hannah. It might have been Hannah. Yeah,
it could have been.
That's the only way Hannah is getting through life. She's just IV of coffee. That's how she's speed running it all.
She's bringing an espresso maker. So it's and this guy literally says I got through law school without any coffee or espresso.
I envy that so much. I wish I never started drinking caffeine. Good for this guy. Couldn't be me, but
that's it, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, I started drinking coffee when I was in middle school, so definitely too far. And it was Hannah that did say she wanted an espresso machine. So definitely going to be a potential stumbling block for them to get into a showman's potentially, but maybe it can overcome it. But yeah, no, this is there are very few bios that make me just really excited about a player from a prospect's perspective. The only other one that I can think of recently that I've seen was Tyler pre BB20. Obviously, that's very I'm creating a very big image for my expectations, but I am very high on Xavier.
Yeah. And Brittany Haynes and Danielle Reyes diary rooms. This guy's he knows his big brother too, so that's awesome.
Hopefully he's as funny as them as well in diary rooms, because that would be great.
Yeah.
This guy.
I hope he doesn't get into a showmatch with Hannah, because if she drinks coffee and the kids, he's gonna be up for days. He doesn't have the tolerance for it.
He'll be hooked immediately. All right. I think that kind of wraps up our going over this cast here. We did it. We got through it. Pretty much the only thing left here. We've done a lot of foreshadowing about who we might end up picking. So there's not a lot of surprises potentially here to come out of this. But I think based off of BB Can 9, we ripped on Brian a lot for picking Kiefer when we probably would have pushed him to pick Ty instead, which would have still ended up being better. But despite that, he ended up having the highest placing finisher of the winner picks. We have 4, 5, and 6.
Basically, what will happen is Xavier will win because he's the one who I would pick. If I was just going, but I'm not going to pick him because I already said I'm Derek F. Lock him in. He's my winner pick.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that coming. Anything more to say?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'll see you guys in September while he's getting his confetti shower and 500K check.
I mean, look, I am not. I've had to eat the humble pie with Kiefer. I am not going to go in on this one. I think there is upside for Derek F. Will I pick him first? No, but I can definitely see it defensible to pick him first, especially if you're going with your heart more so.
I often go out like who I would most like to hang out with from the cast.
The person you'd be happiest, sharing a beer with after they've won.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Or champagne.
Or champagne, exactly.
Champagne. Yeah.
Mimosas, yeah.
Let's not get too carried away. We've seen.
Yeah.
All right, Ben, you're up next.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to bury the lead here. I'm picking Xavier. I mean, this
Chad.
Come on.
Come on, man.
Chad, you've had the first pick 2 seasons in a row here. All right, look, we got to take the good ones off the board. I'm not letting my first picks get snagged from underneath me again. All right, yeah, Xavier is my number 1 with a bullet. All right, there's a few others that I can definitely see. Like, there's like 3 or 4 other people who I could potentially see doing a really good job in the season. But yeah, I mean, based off of these bios alone, Xavier is my pick 100%. He has everything going for him, as I just went over. That everything I could potentially want somebody to put into a Big Brother bio, he did basically. So I cannot pick him. So with that, we'll move on to Chad. I'm sorry, everyone wanted him. I know. I think that makes me feel good that both of you also.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Really good.
Oh yeah, like he's like, if there was like 3 picks and then like all 3 consensus pick, it'd be Xavier.
Yeah.
But I am so torn between Kyland right now and Alyssa, and I feel like picking 3 dudes in a row would kind of be shitty. But like, girls, like, there's less female winners for whatever reason for Big Brother, so I feel like I have to go Kyland, but I really want to go Alyssa. But I don't know. It's so hard to pick without seeing videos. Mm-hmm. So I'll stick with Kyland because he was my OG from the first initial glance. Mm-hmm. But Alyssa's, I don't know, man. If she ends up winning, I want it quoted here today that I almost picked her.
No, look, I mean,
hedge your bets.
If Xavier had gotten snagged out from underneath me, the next 2 I was looking at were Alyssa and Kyland. So I think I think we're very much on the same page. Azza was also somebody I was kind of looking at as well. But yeah, I think Kyland's a good pick. I think Alyssa also would have been a decent pick as well. So I don't really think you could have gone wrong there either way. But yeah, that's it right there. We have our winner picks. Derek F for Brian, Xavier for me, and Kyland for Chad. That's actually interesting. Usually on a Big Brother US season, you wouldn't even see 3 black men in the cast, and we have them as our 3 winner picks. So we are really, we're going all in right now, breaking baby US history this season. If not this season, then when? This is literally like this cast is so stacked with great potential players. So hopefully we get back on track here. We dropped the ball a little bit with BB Can 9, even though we were mostly on.
We got so close though.
We were so close.
Yeah.
Me and Chad, we were like, okay, the best 3 players are going to be Jed, Ty, and Beth, right? Mm-hmm. And we were like, okay, let's just pick them, and then we can guarantee that we're right. And Brian was like, no, fuck that. But Kiefer, I think, was a very good player, obviously. He was probably a better player than Jed or Beth ultimately, so.
Definitely
Jed.
God.
Yeah. He did not let himself get evicted after winning the veto. So, but yeah, I'm excited for this cast. I'm excited for the season, despite the twist. I'm hopeful that we get some good stuff. I'm very excited for more Big Brother, especially with having had no Survivor in this past year, having like a big social strategy game like Big Brother to look forward to and to watch. Getting back into the feeds, I'm ready. I know I said at the top of the show it felt like it came quick, but in some ways it didn't come quick enough.
Yeah.
So
it's I mean, yeah, Big Brother really carried us through this, with no Survivor. the Circle too. Obviously, check us out on Influencer Chat, our Circle podcast. But yeah, thank God for Big Brother, and hopefully this is more BB9 than BB22.
BB Can 9, not BB US 9.
Sorry, yeah. Hopefully it's not BB US 9 at all.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Oh man.
All right.
So anything else? Anyone?
No. I'm glad we have less than a week before the premiere here, and we'll be back. Probably, I assume it's going to be a 2-week premiere or night premiere Wednesday, Thursday. So we'll probably come back, about a week from now to cover that 2-week premiere, and then we'll get kind of on our normal schedule from there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, so if you're new to us, we do weekly after the eviction episode. We talk about the week that was and look ahead on that to who won the HOH if it's out there, and what we can kind of gauge will happen in the next week. So we're not Rob Has a Podcast. We can't podcast every single day. This isn't our full-time jobs. Just a hobby, just a fun thing to do, and we hope that you are along for the ride.
We want to give do our sign off here. Everyone give their social media. Chad, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at ChadleyJP and on Twitter at ChadPerry, PARY25. I should be right here.
All right, Ben. Where can we find you online?
You can find me primarily on Twitter at Ben Sharon, and BenSharron. Pretty straightforward, just my name. I will be hopefully live tweeting the live feeds somewhat regularly, as regularly as I can. I especially like doing it at the start of the show, just because there's usually so much going on and so much interesting stuff to talk about. And hopefully I don't get burnt out really quick like I did last season, because there was nothing to talk about.
Right. And Night 1 feeds, right?
Night 1 feeds, absolutely fantastic. I assume it'll be similar to what we saw last season, where the Wednesday show is pre-filmed, and then we see them get their teams picked. Like, we probably see the opening comp, get the teams picked, and then they come in maybe like only a few hours into feeds. That would be ideal.
Right. That'd be awesome. So yeah, say follow Ben there, and you'll find out if the feeds are live.
Yeah.
Right away. You can follow me on Twitter at @theFakeBMar. That's BMARR. The channel that we're on right now is Better Radio. Help us get to 100 subscribers so we can get that sweet custom URL. Otherwise, if you're already on YouTube and you prefer podcasts, you can find the Have Not Room on every podcast service pretty much. And the main channel is Wicked Good Everything. The other channel that we do is Wicked Good Sports. So if you want to hear Chad and I talk about football and other sports, check us out over there. Trying to think of other stuff to promote. You can follow us on Twitter at WGEverything, Instagram, Wicked Good Everything, Twitch, twitch.tv/WickedEverything. Occasionally Ben will stream some Among Us over there if you're looking for more social strategy games. And the TikTok, we may not be as big as some of the cast members of the season, but we have a TikTok. It's Wicked Good Everything. Search it there, and we will see you all in the next one.